So you have this book, the series, the short story of the world, right? And so many students in Korea, as well as teachers, are in love with this book, right? This series. And what was the motivation? Why did you write the series? I know that you're well versed in history and all that. So what was the motivation?
I love this question because I think it taps into something that most educated people feel. Most educated people feel that they don't quite understand what actually happened in the past. So most of us know, depending on what country you're from, I mean, in the US, you know, the date of the American Revolution, the American Civil War, and when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, right? You have like these, that's us. So you have these points, right? And I know in Korea you have your own like national history points that everybody learns.
Right. And memorize.
Yes, and memorize. Exactly. What most people don't understand is, first of all, what happened before that. Second, what happened after it. And third, how those things are linked together, right? There's this sense that there's this whole story there that I just don't get. I just know these few things and I don't know the rest of it, right? So the point of the story of the world was to give kids, because that's where it starts, a way to understand the order in which things happen and at least some beginning sense of how they link together so that they didn't feel lost, adrift, clueless in the world.
So in your books, you kind of emphasize the way to organize history by time, not region.
Yeah.
Does that have the same context as that one that you just mentioned?
Yes, absolutely. Because, well, this is one of my concerns too. So, so you probably have the same thing in Korea. In the US, we mostly just learn US history until we're in high school. That's all we learn, right? So you get this sense of like, here's the United States. It's like this ball that's floating through time and nothing affects it or changes it. And that's so false. It's so dishonest to how history actually happens. And look, every country does this. We all think of ourselves as unique and special, and you know, and there's, you know, there are points to I am loyal to my country. You should be loyal to your country. I get that. But the lack of comprehension of what is happening in other countries means that we don't understand ourselves. So in the United States, American history is taught as if we were the first country to ever think of democracy. Nobody had an idea of democracy before the United States. And I was like, hello, Greece. So one of my big motivations in the story of the world was to point out the ways in which none of us are unique. You know, I've also written a history series for adults.
Yeah, yes. I've actually
and a lot, and I am in the process of bringing it up to modern times. It's a very, very big project. But one thing people ask me a lot of times is, how does being a historian change the way you look at the world? And I say, guys, I got to tell you something. Things are not worse than they have ever been before. Nope. We have not hit the bottom. Things have always been this bad. We are not in unprecedented times. There is no such thing as unprecedented times. So having that historical perspective is just, that's what the story of the world is meant to do, to give students at least a beginning sense of where they fit into this much bigger story.
This is, I will tell you, the Story of the World series has been at times criticized in Korea for, you know that? Do you know that?
Yes, I'm very well aware.
All right. And then
entire classrooms of Korean students write me letters.
Okay, that's good. So so I think that's the point of actually learning history in another language that's not your own language, and then this is what I explained. This is just another view, and then I'm not trying to fix anyone's opinion, not even students. So I just tell the kids that this is written by someone of different culture and different language, and then this is how perhaps the world sees Korea. So it's an opinion. And so it's a good point that you're making, that even in the age of AI, we still need foreign language to understand the world.
Well, and we need to understand, and I understand the criticisms that I have received from Korean readers, and there have been things in the series, and it's not just Korean readers, by the way. I hear from readers of every country. And every single time I go back and I look and I think to myself, is this an actual error? Or is this a point of view? If it is an error, I correct it. If it is a point of view, then I say,
yeah,
I'm not going to tell history the same way that you would. So take my telling, criticize it, whatever, but I'm not going to change it, because that is my telling of it. Yeah. So it's a very important, I think you bring up something which is, when we read history, is important to remember. It is easy to read a history that you disagree with and say that that history is inaccurate. Inaccurate is not the same as disagreement over point of view. And it's very, very vital that we be able to hold those two things apart.
We are in the age of AI. And then you can just go on to your cell phone and translate in real time, and it's going to only get better. So what's the point of learning a foreign language like English? So that was the question.
Yeah. So there's an English scholar named T.S. Eliot, who was also a poet, who says that the point of learning a foreign language is not to find out what somebody said, because you can always translate, but that to learn to think in not only a vocabulary, but grammar and sentence structure that is different from the one you were born into, means that you have to see the world in a whole new way. You have to view the world through new eyes. It gives you a whole, it's like becoming another person in a way. So the point of learning a foreign language isn't to find out what somebody said. You can always do that. It's to enter into another worldview. It's to enter into someone else's world. And even if you just do that once, even if you only learn one foreign language well enough to actually think and speak in it, which you guys do so admirably, I'm really in awe of what you're doing here. You have become a bigger person, and your world has become bigger. Just that much, because you've just learned one other language. Now imagine if you could learn all the other languages. It just gives you a sense of how huge and incomprehensible the world is. And it gives you a sense of compassion, empathy, and understanding for people who are not you.
I see.
That's the purpose.